y'all can hear me. I'm try to get my hair on straight, my hair on straight. I'm kind of in the dark, y'all. I apologize, but it's just where I parked. Anyway, hi. My name's the infamous Kiki. Welcome to my channel. I'm on my way to the gym as usual. Y'all know I'm always on my way to the gym. What is this back here? This is I'm wearing my son's jacket. Anyway, I'm on my way to the gym as usual. In my car as usual. And I know most of you guys are going to watch this on the rewatch. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. Hi, everybody. Hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving, or what I call Indigenous Peoples Day. If you have not watched my Thanksgiving videos, please do. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please do. If you want to know who I am, okay, let's see. I am the infamous Kiki. I think my claim to fame came from Tony Teflon's channel. If you don't know who that is, then you look him up and subscribe to him. And then also on Geo Malik. If you don't know who Geo Malik is, then subscribe to him as well. But I used to do, which I'm gonna pick it up again, commentary on Love After Lockup, 90 Day Fiance, and stuff like that. But I kind of got off of that. But I'm gonna go back to doing my commentary for reality shows because I know y'all love that. And I miss it too. But then my mom died and kind of derailed things. So it is a cold, cold day today in Texas. It's windy. It's cold, child. It's a hot mess. So now, I was in a 5-year relationship, just to give y'all a little bit of background. And that I decided to end that relationship for various reasons. And so I am back on dating apps. Every guy I have ever been with and ever dated has been on dating apps. I met my late husband. My late husband died 9 years ago. So I've been on dating apps off and on since he died. And also, I met him on a phone chat thing called Lava Life. Like before dating apps was a thing, there was phone chats. Okay, so people used to meet sight unseen, believe it or not, y'all. And it was a wild time. I'm gonna do a video about that, about Lava Life and my time on there. But that's coming up. But we're gonna talk about Ashley Madison. Ha. Now, for those of y'all like, what's Ashley Madison? Ashley Madison is a quote unquote a dating app. I guess it's an app, one of those dating apps like Tinder, like Bumble, like Hinge, like POF. However, it caters to married people. Not just married men, but married people, period. There are married women on but there are much more married men than there are married women on there, according to the numbers. I've looked this up. So this is a website where you can discreetly find somebody to cheat with. And it works like the systems and the app itself is like a regular dating app. It's not swipe left, swipe right, swipe right like Tinder, but pretty much the women can get on free and the men have to pay. So the men pay. I don't know how much the men pay. I couldn't even, I think it's like $30 a month or 20. I don't know how much it is, but I know the men pay and the women don't. So in order for the men to really initiate messages, they have to have a paying account. They have it to where you can blur your picture. So when you do post your picture, make a profile, you can blur your picture out and you can give people access to look at your pictures. And on that site, you can put explicit pictures on there. Or you can just blur your face out and just put mundane pictures on there. Or there's some people that don't put no pictures at all because they scared. Okay, and I get it. Some these folks be scared on this app. But and you can give people's keys to look at your pictures, yada yada yada. So long time ago when this website first came out, I got on Ashley Madison. This website's been around um for a while. I think about 8 years or so. Or when I got on it, it was like 8 years. I just got on it because I saw a expose. There was a big Ashley Madison leak, like where they had a data leak, and a lot of people's emails, because you got to sign them with your email. A lot of people's emails leaked, like somebody hacked into their system, and so they released all these names and emails, and people were going on looking on the list, seeing if their husband was on there. A lot of people's husband got caught up because they was on that data breach, and so a lot of people had gotten off Ashley Madison because that ran them off, and they got in trouble with their wives. There have been instances throughout the years after that of famous people who have been caught on Ashley Madison, like reality stars, I think Josh Duger was on Ashley Madison, I think, trying to troll for women. Um, so there have been various semi celebrities that have been on Ashley Madison that I know of that I looked up. So this website, even though the data breach happened like 8 years ago, people are still on there. There's still a lot of people on there. So and Ashley Madison is worldwide, so it's an international website because some of these dating apps are pretty local, but they're worldwide. I apparently they have a huge following overseas. There's a lot of users, I should say, overseas. So I get back on Ashley Madison probably about 4 to 5 weeks ago, just to see. I'm just curious, what's the difference? Because I'm all about research, and I'm just want to know what's the difference between a traditional dating app and Ashley Madison. Um, And let me remind y'all, make sure y'all like, share, comment, subscribe on this video if you like the video. So I get on Ashley Madison and I set up a profile and I blur out my picture or whatever. And you can fill out your profile information and I put on there, I'm looking for something discreet, someone to talk to, blah, blah, blah. Now granted, y'all, I don't plan to do none of this. Okay. So I just did this. This is just my personal research just to see what happens. I wasn't trying to get on Ashley Madison to cheat with nobody. I wasn't trying to break up nobody's marriage. I'm not that invested. Like I mean, I just wanted to see how many men on there were on there from the Dallas area and what would happen. Because like I said, I was on there before about 7, 8 years ago, and there was one dude I was talking to and that I went on a couple dates with, and yes, he was married. But again, I've already been a mistress before, so I wasn't trying to go down there. Not with that dude, but there's another dude, but I didn't meet him off a dating app that I was a mistress for. But that's another time for another video. Y'all gotta wait for that one. But I was a mistress for a year and a half off and on with a guy who was married. But I knew this guy. Like it wasn't like he was some stranger. I knew this guy. And we knew each other when we dated when we were teenagers. And so but anyway, that's another long story. But I got on Ashley Madison. And the moment I set up a profile, I just said I'm looking for something discreet. I'm looking for somebody, fit, somebody in my area, blah, 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 blah. Nothing too risque or shocking. And so the moment I put my profile up, I started getting messages. And I was amazed because on regular dating apps, um, even if they have a match system or a message system, whichever one, I usually don't get that many messages, or there's not a lot of dudes locally on the app. There's a lot of dudes out of my area, like San Antonio, Austin. I don't live in these cities. That's like 4 hours away from me. Or guys out of state. When I went on Ashley Madison, believe it or not, there were a lot of guys in my area, which makes sense. The area that I live in is the suburbs of Dallas. I live in far north of Dallas. The area that I live in, there are not a lot of single people out here. There are not a lot of single parents. There's not a lot of single people. There's not a lot of apartment complexes. The old city that I lived in 6, 7 months ago, I lived there for 7 years. And where I live now, the homes that I live in the area that I live in would not be a single conducive kind of area. This would be an area that is definitely for families. Like I live in a 4 bedroom home. Most people who live out here are not single people. They're not single parents. A lot of the single parents anywhere you go are going to live in apartments, are going to live in starter homes. I don't live in a starter home area. Um, there are a lot of older people out there. The people who are single out here that I see just anecdotally are older people. They're empty nesters. They're retirees. Like they've lived here, moved here, and their kids have gone to college or moved out, and so they're empty nesters. So you see that, but those are people that are out of my demographic. They're older than me. But there are not a lot of single parents or not a lot of single people out here. It's just the area that I live in is very family friendly. So when I got on Ashley Madison, there were a lot of dudes on in the suburbs that were on this app more than the regular dating apps. So I was shocked at first, but not shocked. So because again, like I said, I live in an area where there's mostly married people. So There was even some dudes in my city. I live in a small city, y'all. I live in a small town. Okay. I live in a small suburban town. I was shocked that there were actually people in my city because where I came from, my old city, there wasn't a lot of people who actually lived in that city that was on dating apps. And then when I went on regular dating apps, when I moved out here, I didn't find anybody out here in my city on a regular dating app. But however, and then I always give a side eye when I see regular people on a dating app out here because it gives me the side eye because it makes me automatically think that they're married because most of the people out here are married. And I ask them, well, where do you live? Who do you live with? Like, why would you have a 4 or 5 bedroom house out here and you live by? No, that doesn't add up. So the fact that there was like 4 or 5 guys off the jump in my area was like, okay, all right. Um, so a lot of guys were sending me messages, and then um and like I said to the women out here who are married, this is what I'm really here to tell you in my experiences. First of all, these men don't want to leave their wives. A lot of them are like, I'm not looking to change my situation. I'm not looking to leave my wife and kids. Most of these men are married with children or they're cohabitating with children. So they don't want to leave their girlfriends or their wives at all. They for sure, I've heard over and over again that most of these dudes are not looking um to leave their situation. Some of them I've asked that I've actually really talked to, which we'll get into that. The reason being is because some of them don't want to pay child support. I'm just gonna be honest with y'all because I've had conversations. Some of these men don't want to pay child support. I've had men tell me that. Well, I'm not leaving because I don't want to pay child support. I don't make enough money to pay child support. Some of these men don't want to leave because they've been with their wives for a while, and they some of them have told me they love their wife. They love their wife, but the only thing about it is they're not getting sexual intimacy. Like that's it. And again, I'm hearing one side of the story, so I'm not here to blame women at all. I'm not here to blame y'all. I'm really not. Like I'm not. Look. You will never get me to get on here disparaging women. But so I'm just telling you what the men are telling me. So, um, and I'm only hearing one side of it. So you know the deal when you talking to somebody. Like some of y'all know that when you're talking to somebody and you hear about a breakup of their relationship, you're only hearing their side of it. You're not really hearing both sides of it. So I don't know what these men are doing in their relationships or their marriages. The reason why their wives are not having intimacy, they're having intimacy issues. So I can tell women out there, men are definitely on dating apps cheating. Number two, the biggest reason I've talked to on Ashley Madison, I probably talked to 25 different dudes in various stages. Like some of them I just messages. Some of them I have got on Snapchat. And let me tell you, ladies. If your man has Snapchat downloaded, Signal, Telegraph, Kick, he's probably cheating. Like I'm just going to be honest with you and just keep it real because they are using these text apps as a way to contact women and cheat. That's how most of them I talked to was on Snapchat and Kick. Those are the biggest ones. So if your man has Snapchat and Kick for some reason, and you just happen to get a glance at his phone and realize like, why do you have Snapchat? Those are messaging apps where you can delete the messages, make the messages disappear after a certain time. You can send pictures, you can do video chats, and you can make it disappear and there's no record of it. So if your man is telling you he just has these apps on here just because he want to communicate with the kids, or it just happens to be on his phone, now I would throw a big side eye, a glaring side eye to that because I don't believe that. If he has a messaging app, I would be fearful that he's talking to somebody on a dating app. Um, what else? These men, they're sneaking in the bathroom and sending me dick pics and messages. Look, like y'all, we finna get into it. Again, some of these men are really nice. Like I don't know what to say. Not all these men are like vicious ghouls. Some of these men seem like very articulate and nice men. Okay, so what do they want? It varies. Some men on there, they just want sex. That's all they want. They just want sex. That's what they want. Just maybe a one time, one night stand, one thing. You got some men that want that. Then you have some men that want an ongoing uh sexual thing. Then you have some men that want to be able to connect with you and talk with you, kind of like a friends with benefits kind of thing, ongoing, even though they're married. So those are the men that I'm really like, what? It's like you kind of want a relationship outside of your relationship. Like that doesn't really make any sense to me because I'm like, okay, if you're not getting physical adult intimacy and you're not getting mental intimacy from the person that you're with, regardless of whether I have kids with that person or not, or child support, is that enough for me to make me want to stay in a relationship? It is for me it's not, but that's just me personally. For me it's not. I can't stay in a relationship just because I'm comfortable. But what I found out through Ashley Madison, there are a lot of men out there in marriages, in relationships that are just there because they're comfortable. Because they've been paying bills and they have a house and they built, they have cars and bills, and they don't want to go through the divorce process or or having to untangle all that. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm sure that like I said, I don't talk to women who cheat, so I'm sure with women it's the same thing, or any person. And like I said, cheating has been going on since the dawn of time. So we're not talking about anything new, anything. We're not. Ashley Madison is not reinventing the wheel. In our history, in our past, there've always been courtesans and side chicks, if y'all want to call it. They've been side pieces since the dawn of time. Since kings had side pieces, merchants had side pieces, regular schmegular farmers had side pieces. Side pieces have existed since human beings have been around, since people decided that marriage was a thing. Because again, I tell people the history of marriage, a long time ago, marriage was not a thing. Like marriage was an invention of necessity, resources, and it wasn't a love or a match or an emotional romantic thing. Love was just a business transaction. People married their daughters off to solidify their clans, to solidify their villages, to get livestock, to get land, to barter. That's all kids was for. Is for the help in the village or help on the farm, and to barter off to other families, tribes, and villages. That's really what marriage was about. It wasn't a love or a romance thing, or a thing ordained by God, or whatever it is that are pretty much modern inventions. The ideas and notions of courtship that we do today are very new. Like I said, I can't speak for any other countries because some countries still old school about it. But in America, in our westernized country, the way we do courtship and marriage is not how people do it around the world. And I think in my mind, how people do it in other countries um is somewhat better. But that's another time for another video. We're going to talk about courtship and marriages and women and dating around the world, because I don't think that people really bring that perspective online, because it varies. Like there are certain things that happen in America that are kidding, but there are certain things that happen here that are all around the world. But anyway, that's another time for another video. What kind of men are on these apps? There are white men, there are black men, um there are surprisingly a large amount of Indian men. Like I was surprised how many men from India were on there. There's Middle Eastern men, but most of the men that I've seen on there, of course, my area were mostly white and Hispanic men, but mostly white. I would say white is the most of the men, then Hispanic, then Indian, um, and then black men, and then Middle East. But surprisingly, there wasn't a lot of brothers on Ashley Madison. I don't know, it's because I don't know what it is, but there's not a lot of brothers on Ashley Madison. Um, so and then the age ranges. The age range vary. I mean, when people think of Ashley Madison, people think of like I had somebody be like, "Well, there's a bunch of old married men, honey." No, I didn't seen from 25 to 75 on Ashley Madison. I've seen guys in their 20s. I've seen guys in their 30s. Surprisingly enough, there's single people on Ashley Madison. There's single men and there's single women. I'm assuming I put myself that I was single on there on Ashley Madison, but there are single men and single women. But of course, the majority are married. But you'd be surprised. There are all age ranges. but I would say most of the age ranges are from 35 to 45. That's the age range I found in the Dallas Fort Worth area. And that's the age range, 35 to 45. But there were 20 somethings on there who were married or who lived with a girlfriend who had kids. I mean, not a whole bunch, but I would say 35 to 45 is pretty much predominantly the age range. And then there was some dudes that are 45 to 55 um on there, but mostly between that 10-year age span. Um, the caliber of guys that are on there who are cheating. A lot of the dudes on there, believe it, shockingly enough, we're not talking about scrub. When I go on dating apps, y'all, regular dating apps, a lot of these men are not men I would find attractive. A lot of these men are, I mean, I'm not even some of these men on dating apps where I live, and again, I'm not the only person saying this, y'all. Like, I'm not, I wish one of these days I'm gonna get my sister in law on here and she will tell you about her experiences being a Caucasian female. And both her and I agreed for the Dallas Fort Worth area. Most of the men here are kind of, I'm not trying to disparage anybody, but most of them are not our type. Most of them are kind of scruffy looking. When we go to San Antonio or Austin, the men there are much more Houston. The men there are much more like my type of dude. They are much more clean cut, clean shaven. I like clean cut, short hair, clean shaven kind of man. I like that's the kind of that kind of man. You ain't got to be a pretty boy. You ain't got to be a metrosexual. But I like my men clean cut. I don't like scruffy beard and look like they haven't shaved or bathed in 2 years. I don't. I'm not into that. I understand some women might be into that. That's good for you, girl, but not for me. So a lot of the men on Ashley Madison, surprisingly enough, are good looking men. Like these are some fit, cute men. You can see why they are married. There's not a lot of scruffy, overweight, out of shape dudes. Even the dudes that are older, even the dudes that are in their 50s and 60s are nice looking men. So I would say if your husband is nice looking, I mean, all the men that I've talked to that were trying to get me to meet them and trying to get with me, they were, first of all, they were white or Hispanic, because again, there wasn't many brothers on there. And they were all nice looking white dudes. Like these were fit ass dudes. Like, and so don't think it's just a bunch of losers. No, these are professional men. There are men on there that I know for a fact that they come to talk to me and trust me. And these men own companies. These men were lawyers. These men were doctors. These men were professional type men that are on these that's out here cheating. So these are not a bunch of scrubs. Um, these are men that had their own, nice houses, nice cars. These are men talking about they want to pay for hotels. They were like, "Boo, I'll come to you. I'll pay for a hotel." Da, 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 da. I got propositioned by a lot of dudes offering to, pay for hotels because I was like, "Well, no, you can't come to my house and I can't come to theirs, of course." So there you go. A lot of these men have flexible schedules. So that's another thing I tell you. If your man works remotely, I would say 9 or 10 out of the 25, 26 students I talked to, about half of them or even more had flexible schedules. They either worked remote, or they worked professional jobs to where they could, come and go as they please. And while their wives were at work during the daytime, they were on Ashley Madison looking for other women to be with. I talked to men and I asked them, have you done this before? A lot of the men on there had never done anything like this before. They had been on Ashley Madison maybe previously, but they'd actually never got with anyone. But then there was 6 that I talked to that they had been on Ashley Madison off and on for years, and they had gotten with other women previously. One dude told me that he was with a woman regularly for like over a year, and he was still married. He'd been married for like 12 years. So some of these are OG pros, some of these are very, very new. Um, and then there's a few that I know of that did have a boo thing going on, and she moved away or it ended, and so now they need to scratch that itch again, and it's been several months or maybe a year or so, and they're trying to find somebody else regular again. Most of the men on there were looking for somebody on a regular basis. They were not trying to sleep with a bunch of women. They were really trying to find just one woman to really have a regular thing with, on a semi regular or a case by case as needed basis. There weren't a lot of men on there that were just looking to just sleep with a bunch of women, because it's dangerous if you're sleeping with a bunch of women, because STDs, you may bring something home to your wife, and these men ain't stupid. Um, so that was that. Um, I'm trying to think anything that really shocked me. I was just shocked how talkative these men were about their relationships and about their marriages. And I gotta say, the biggest takeaway I could say of that, these men were starved for attention, and they were starved for intimacy. That is the biggest thing. So I was like, I mean, I know one dude that hadn't been intimate with his wife in a year, and that blows my mind. Like, let me tell y'all something. Y'all know me. I was married for 8 years. I was with the same man for about 9 years. I was with the well, I wouldn't say I was married for 8 years. I was with the same man for about 8 or 9 years. And we were married 5 years out of that 8 or 9 years. And I couldn't imagine me being in a relationship or married and where we're living together and not being intimate for months and years. I mean, one dude, he hadn't had sex in like 2 years. I'm like, and you're married? Jesus, take the wheel. I couldn't, like, the things that like I said, I can't validate this. I don't know if this is true, but the idea of me being in a relationship with somebody and I'm not intimate with this person for weeks and months. I mean, I couldn't even imagine. I couldn't imagine me having a husband. I had a husband. And I mean, even when my husband wasn't sick and he wasn't ill, we our adult intimacy life was frequent. It was like every other day or every couple of days. When he got sick, it got to be like once a week, or how sick he was, or if he was in the hospital, that stymied that. But I mean, these able-bodied people talking about that they had not had no intimacy from their wives in weeks, months, years. Some of them, they do were having intimate times with their wives, but they couldn't express the type of sexuality that they were into, and it wasn't anything weird. It wasn't anything strange. Some of them just got bored with their wives or girlfriends. So I could see that some of them were just boredom, but the majority of men that were on Ashley Madison cheating are men who wanted attention and were not getting intimacy at all for long stretches, periods of time. So I don't know what was going on in these people's relationships. Again, I'm not going to sit up here and blame the women like it's all their fault. Maybe the man wasn't doing anything to kind of stroke the fires, because a relationship, when it comes to intimacy in a marriage, it's a two-way street. And also, it also depends on what else you're doing in the relationship to put the woman off on you. When I say off on you, I mean get the woman not in the mood, because there are things that can happen in a marriage or how you're being treated that of course you're not going to want to lay down with this person, because you're not being treated good. You're being ignored. Maybe they were ignoring their wives. Maybe they weren't treating their wives good. Maybe they were talking to their wives crazy. Maybe their wives were so busy, working and keeping track of the kids and keeping track of the house. And by the end of the day, she tired. So I mean, that happens. So again, you have to pick up the slack, in order to make sure the intimacy happens. It's a two-way street. You can't just expect it to just happen a lot of times, or expect the woman to be motivated. Like, sometimes you have to nudge and give a little motivation. So that's what I would say on the men's part. But women, this is just my warning out to women as to what is really going in these on these dating apps, and what's happening, and why your man may or may not be cheating on you, or you may feel that he is cheating on you, or you may feel like something is missing, or something is wrong. So I would say that you to me, a good relationship starts with communication, and I think people have lost that. So I would tell people that if you're in a relationship and things are not going well, and you realize that you have not been intimate in a long stretch of periods of time, like, if to me, 2 weeks is too long, but that's just me. I don't know. 2 weeks is too long for me. Really, to be on the cool with y'all, a couple days is just too long for me. I couldn't lay in the same bed with a man unless I was mad at him or angry. And then if you're that angry, you need to talk it out. But unless I was mad or angry, um, I couldn't see me going 3 days, maybe. I mean, barring that we're not sick and we're in good health, maybe 3 days, maybe. But again, that's just me. But I just and then I tell women, one thing I am going to say about women is that women, because of society and not because of our fault, have been conditioned not to talk about intimacy. We are being conditioned. I'm not. I broke that conditioning a long time ago. But for women, um, adult films are a taboo. When you're talking about intimacy apparatuses, y'all know what I'm talking about. I can't really say it. It's taboo. When it comes to what you like and what you don't like and exploring, it's taboo. So I would say I could say in the Western world and for a lot of people, there are men out there that are seeking um intimate conversations, titillation, passion, excitement, um, attention in an intimate way that I feel like um a lot of women are brainwashed into thinking that men don't like that or men don't need that or that's not important in a relationship or it's just about going along to get along. It's just about I love this person, I got kids with this person, I built a life with this person. Yeah, that's all great. And he may not leave you. He may stay with you because of that, but it doesn't mean that he's happy. So, you know, the idea that there are men out there trying to cheat, trying to cheat. And like I said, some of them flaked out. There was let me say this. There was a lot of men who were all like about it, and I'm ready to meet you, and then they be like, oh, well, something came up and it couldn't meet. There's 3 or 4 dudes that I was like, well, let's see how far this would go, and would they really actually meet? And we were gonna meet, like nothing, no, nothing sexy time, nothing like that. We were just gonna meet, and a lot of them flaked. Like 3 that I did was like, okay, well, maybe we'll meet. They flaked out, like they were like, oh, something came up, or one of them I didn't hear from them again. Or one of them was like, oh, we're gonna meet on Friday, and then come Wednesday, I didn't hear from them. Thursday, I didn't hear from them. And so I just figured that they chickened out and flaked out. So you have a lot of that. Like I said, there are a lot of people in Ashley Madison that just want to talk. They just want someone to talk to. And the things that they want to talk about is sex. That's what they want to talk about. So I would say women, you know, whisper in your man's ear a little bit, like, it is, get, have a conversation about what kind of things you like, what kind of things he likes, what kind of things he's into. How does he feel about the fact that if you guys haven't had intimacy in a long time, ask him how does he feel about that. Is he feeling some type of way about that? Because again, like I said, as what I've seen from a lot of women, not me, but they just kind of take intimacy for granted. Like it's not a big thing, and I believe that to men, it's probably a bigger thing than it is to women. I, for the longest time, I tell the story, thought that all women felt about that were very open in their sexuality and very open in what they did and what they didn't do and their level, of their bodies and what felt good. I thought all women were like me, but I realized joining a women's group that a lot of women were not didn't feel comfortable about their own bodies, didn't feel comfortable about their own needs intimately, didn't feel comfortable about their own sexuality. And I felt really sad about that because to me, part of being in a relationship, any kind of relationship, marriage or not, is to me is the physical, is the attraction, is the intimacy. I understand that things happen and people gain weight and things start sagging. Well, some of these men are on there because they're not really attracted to their partners or wives anymore. That's it. Well, and that happens. You can't really do it, but there's things to do to kind of spice things up. A lot of men do talking about lingerie and talking about watching adult movies together and going to adult theaters and being active in just subtle things that I'm like, okay, that's reasonable. But their wives were just kind of like, that's absurd. I don't want to watch adult movies. Some women don't like that. Some women think that's cheating. I found that out a couple of months ago. I had no idea there was a bunch of women running around that if men watch adult movies that they think that's cheating. Like, I had no idea. I don't have any issues with any man that wants to watch adult movies. I will watch it with you. I partake. I watch adult entertainment. Like, and I don't have any, but I understand everybody is different. But these are things that need to be discussed and talked about while you're dating, before you get married, about what is your intimacy levels and what is the intimate expectation. And like I said, I'm not trying to put it all on women, but I just feel like women, if he is not asking these questions, I think we need to take the bull by the horns and ask these questions as well. And I think that's very important, that to have a marriage with regular intimacy, it'll bring you closer together. It will, I'm not saying it will keep your husband faithful, because there's just some men out there who are just dogs who just like to cheat. But for me, in my mind, the things that these men were on Ashley Madison for and seeking wasn't anything too crazy or outrageous or deviant or nothing like that. These men were just lonely, bored, and um horny and sexually frustrated. I really think that's what it is, what it boils down to. And I just need women to reclaim their bodies, reclaim their marriages, reclaim their sexuality, and really work, really communicate these things in your marriage. And I say this out of experience, for somebody who was married, who's with somebody for 8 years, you know, may he rest in peace. But that was one issue that was never an issue between us, and it would never will be with any man I've ever been with. And so I would tell, people out there, men, talk to your wives about your needs. If that doesn't work, keep trying. I understand some women are like, I don't want to talk about it. I've seen it. And then I would say, women, if you are noticing things with your boyfriend or your husband that's not adding up right, then you really need to sit down and have a conversation. Don't bury your head in the sand. Don't be like, everything's going to be okay. Don't be like, well, I need to go focus on my career and my children and just leave him alone. Don't go to bed. If y'all are going to bed and y'all are not sleeping together, y'all are not hugged up, y'all are not cuddled up when you go to bed. I can imagine that anyway. I like to be laid up and hugged up with my man. You know, I understand you're tired and you're dealing with the kids, and you're both are maybe stressed out because of other things that are happening in the marriage. I get it, but if your marriage is that unhappy, then you need to separate. That, all in all, if you tried everything, you tried communicating, you tried talking, you tried to be intimate, you tried to do anything, then you shouldn't stay in a relationship because of the kids. You shouldn't stay in a relationship because I don't want to pay child support, or I don't want to have to go through the process of divorce and separating our homes. And I know people stay in relationships because they're comfortable, and it never works out good. Trust me. I stayed in a 5-year relationship. Most of it is because I was comfortable, and in the end, you just end up wasting your time and their time when you could be moved on with your life and doing other things. So I would say, take these tips. This is how your men are online cheating and doing things. I'm still on Ashley Madison. I not as heavy as I used to be. I rarely check my account. But I was just shocked that, again, there were so many men on there, and I got more responses, and there were more men locally to me than on regular dating apps. And the men on there, I didn't meet any weirdos. I didn't meet any freaks. I really met some really nice guys that in any other circumstances that we would probably be cool. Um, and so there was less freaks and weirdos on Ashley Madison than there were on Bumble or Swirl or Hinge or Stir or these other dating apps. The apps are full of weirdos and incels and freak, like just really socially inept people. These men on Ashley Madison were articulate, were kind, that knew how to talk. They were these were successful men. These were good looking men. So I would say the quality of caliber of men on Ashley Madison was better than on a regular dating app. These weren't men who were thirsty. They didn't come across as like, I mean, there were some, they were trying to, showing their picture of their eggplant all the time. But for the most part, most of these men were not thirsty. Most of these men were not talking about, hey, send a picture of your booty. Hey, can you come over my house tomorrow and let's hook up? These men were not that thirsty. These men were not pressed, most of them. These men were, I would have to say, a better caliber of men than the single men that were on regular dating apps. So I would say, my hats off to married men. Like y'all, y'all actually know how to talk. Y'all actually were consistent. There was much more consistency on Ashley Madison than other dating apps. So I would say to the women out there, if you are not looking for a relationship, you are looking for a friends with benefits, you are looking for a hookup, you were looking for a jump off, you were looking for a nice looking man. Some of these men was sugar daddies. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. Some of these men was about the sugar, baby. They was about the sugar. They was offering Miss Kiki all kinds of money. I pay for this, I pay for that. What you want, what you need, and it wasn't like a prostitution kind of thing, but it was just like some of these men were about the sugar. They were there to handsomely adequately take care of you for your time. They were like, I'm not trying to waste your time. Don't waste my time. Here, I take you to dinners. I set you up in hotels. So some of these men was about the sugar, baby. And so I would say, women, that if you are single, um, yeah, maybe married, and you're looking for somebody that you're like, I'm not ready for a relationship. I don't want a relationship. I just want a companion. I just want somebody to go out with, have fun with, woo 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 with, and and that's it. Then I would say Ashley Madison would probably be a better fit for you than a regular dating app. And so, if you feel curious and just try it, there's you ain't got to put your real face on there. Just try it. If it don't work for you, then move on to something else. So that's my expose on Ashley Madison. So I hope you guys enjoyed my video. Please put comments, questions. I know some of y'all probably got questions like what, and I know some of y'all got something to say, about me talking to married men. But again, they're married, I'm not. So, and then so they ain't got nothing to do with me. But yeah, so Ashley Madison, I give it a recommend for people who are looking for a hookup or FWB or whatever. That's what you're looking for. Then go do it. Have at it. But I gotta go work out, y'all. So I hope y'all have a great, great Sunday. And I'll be back to talk about more topics. I got some other things I need to say about certain things about dating apps. So you guys have a great day. Thanks to everybody who watched. Thanks to whoever thumbs up. I appreciate it. To the people that are coming and watch, you watching right now. Thank you. Y'all have a good day. Bye.